Ben is a young boy who is trapped inside an old-fashioned study room. He has little time to survive, because this is a death game. To leave the place, Ben finds a door with a puzzle on the wall that needs him to slide 4 digits into its place to unlock it. To get the 4 digits, he must solve many puzzles. He finds a papyrus map and goes with the word green, so he gets his hands on a green book. At first, he reaches time as a resolution, but unfortunately for him, there is no clock. He thinks about the message again, to watch another person die. That's it. Many paintings around show people dying. Their hands take the form of a pointer. He gets his 4 digits out of dying people's hands' direction in paintings, but when he moves one of the digits in the puzzle, the wall opposite the exit starts moving towards Ben, crushing everything in its way. Ben is trapped between the 2 walls and his leg is punctured by a sharp stick. Death will be inevitable. But let's find out in the video if there will be a miracle for him. It's red recapped here. Today I'm going to explain the movie, Escape Room, which was released in 2019. The movie cuts back to 3 days ago in Chicago, Illinois, where Zoe, an intelligent girl, is in a college lecture hall. Her professor asks a hard question which she knows the answer to, but is too shy to speak up, which the professor also notices. After class, her professor attempts to uplift her confidence, telling her she has a brilliant mind. But she has to be more confident and don't be scared of getting into challenges. She is a loner who wants to stay on her own rather than socialize with peers. So she refuses to attend the dorm party at night, despite her roommate's persistence. As her roommate leaves for Thanksgiving break the next morning, she finds a package for Zoe outside their room containing a black puzzle box. Then we get to know Jason, who is a successful stock trader. He receives a phone call from a pleased client offering him a vacation in Fiji. Shortly after, he receives a note from the client, along with the same type of black puzzle box as Zoe. Later, Ben's turn comes. He works as a stock boy at a grocery store. His boss denies him a promotion to cashier due to dissatisfaction with his work. As the boss walks away, he notices Ben's flask and advises him to stop drinking and go make some friends. Ben appears to be offended by the remark, and his boss apologizes. Ben arrives at work the next morning to find a note from his boss and the black puzzle box. The mysterious box has no normal way to be opened. However, Zoe, Jason, and Ben each manage to open their puzzle boxes in different ways. Zoe figures it out due to her intelligence, Jason solves it through a YouTube tutorial, and Ben stumbles across the solution by accident after attempting to smash the box with a hammer. Inside the box is a card inviting them to an escape room called Minus, where the first person to flee the room will win $100,000. Ben stands outside the Minus building, smoking, when he is approached by a girl named Amanda. She enters the lobby and checks in with the guard, who asks her to hand over her cell phone, so that the pictures of the room don't end up on the internet. As she walks to the elevator, the guard thanks her for her service, and Amanda looks worried. Danny joins Amanda in the elevator. Amanda and Danny enter the waiting room, where Jason, Zoe, and Mike are already waiting. Ben joins them, and the group has a little chat while waiting for the game to start. Danny reveals himself to be an expert at the game, as he has been to over 90 escape rooms. On the other hand, Jason is not interested in games at all. He prefers to spend his time with adult women instead, as he said. Jason's reasons for being here are financial, and he also constantly wants to be a winner. Ben is bored waiting for the game to commence and needs to go outside to smoke. When he tries to open the door, the handle breaks off in his hand, and Danny learns that the game has just started. Where the handle broke off is now an oven dial, and the group begins looking for clues. Amanda notices that all the magazines in the room have been dispatched to Dr. Woodenu. Mike flips through the books on the shelf and finds a screwdriver and a copy of Fahrenheit 451. Zoe turns the dial on the oven to 451 degrees, and heating panels around the room turn on and start heating the room. As the group starts getting anxious, a clever Zoe figures out that the voice behind the window is a recording. Ben then grabs a fire extinguisher from the wall, which activates more heating panels. The fire extinguisher is fake, but Zoe finds the key that pulls the pin and opens the frosted glass window. Inside is a mannequin with a phone, which rings and is answered by Jason. They are told to follow the rules. As Jason hangs up, more heating panels are turned on. Amanda panics when the room heats up. Zoe hands her a glass of water to calm her down. Zoe then notices that it's written on the wall that they must use the coaster. When she presses one of the coffee table's coasters, the painting on the wall moves, revealing an airway. Zoe, Danny, Ben, Amanda, and Mike push down the coasters while Jason crawls into the duct. He finds a grate that leads into another room, but he needs the screwdriver from Mike, who joins him in the duct, to open the grate. Zoe learns that they can fill the water glasses to the top using the water dispenser, and they will be heavy enough to hold the coasters down. Amanda freezes in fear. Seeing this, Ben and Danny ask Zoe to go help Amanda as they're filling the glasses. After getting the job done, Danny and Ben manage to crawl through the duct as the room explodes into flames behind them and crawl up through the grate just before the fire blasts through the air duct. The group is now in a log cabin. Jason opens a lock on the front door, but there's another lock that needs a 7-letter password to open. Mike then notices a written message on the wall that says, "You'll go down in history." Seeing this, Zoe begins to name the US. There are presidents with 7-letter surnames, but none of them work. On the other hand, Ben finds 9 antlers on the wall, each with a letter under it. He remembers a night driving memory with his friends, all drunk, while they were singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer out loud, before Ben crashed head-on into another car. Ben tells them to try Rudolph, and the lock opens. Zoe turns out to have a crush on Ben, but the latter doesn't think much of it. As the group exits the cabin, they find themselves in a snowy environment with frozen ground. However, the thermometer is indicating 30 degrees, and Zoe discovers that the temperature is dropping as time passes. Despite the cold, they are only left with one winter jacket to put on. They decide to wear it respectively for all benefits. Everyone believes the game is real and dangerous besides Danny, who offers everyone a chance to have fun. It looks like they are outside, but soon it's revealed that there are high-tech screen walls. As they search for clues, the ice beneath Danny abruptly breaks, and he falls into the water. The other 5 are frantically looking for a way to save Danny, but there is nothing they can do about it. Unfortunately, Danny drowns under the ice. The group gets shocked. Now they are confident they have been trapped in a death game. Then they find a frozen cube with a key inside. Jason tells them they'll all die of hypothermia if they don't work together to melt the ice as the temperature continues to drop. They take turns wearing the jacket and slowly manage to melt the ice by all putting their hands on it as the temperature in the room drops below 0. Jason puts the key in the door, but it doesn't open. They see a door open on the other side of the room and run for it. The ice starts cracking beneath them as they're running across the room, but they all make it past the door. The next room is a strange bar with a pool table, in which everything is upside down. The room is bolted to the ceiling, which is at least 20 feet up. They are informed via phone that they must watch their steps. It means that every time they hear a shrill dial-up noise like, a part of the floor falls away, which causes them to move cautiously just on the edges to stay alive. Amanda climbs up behind the bar, where she finds a safe that requires a 4-digit code. Zoe sees a sliding puzzle on the wall and climbs to it, solving it in a short time. They learn that the colors in the puzzle correspond to certain billiard balls. Zoe gives Amanda the code 9810. Not only does it not work, but it also causes a huge part of the floor to fall down. During the process, Zoe falls onto a section of the floor. She reminisces about the sad memory of losing her mother in a plane crash. She was looking up at her mom's upside down, dead body, strapped into the seat. She realizes that, as the room is upside down, they must enter 6 instead of 9. Amanda calls Zoe a genius when the safe is opened. Amanda gets the missing 8 ball, which will work as the exit door handle. Amanda puts the 8 ball in her pocket and jumps from the bar to the pool table, where she has to use her arms to pull herself along the edge until she can get her legs up. The ball falls out of her pocket onto the last remaining section of floor and starts to roll towards the edge. Amanda jumps down, grabs the ball, and throws it to Jason just before the floor falls. She grabs the hanging phone cord, and Ben tries to reach her with a pool cue, but the cord snaps and she falls to her death. Zoe is devastated, and Ben tries to comfort her while Jason pushes ahead into the next room. The 4th room is filled with 6 hospital cubicles. It's revealed all of them were the sole survivors of an accident. Zoe was in a plane crash in Vietnam that killed her mom. Mike survived while his brother died in a mine in West Virginia. Ben was the sole survivor of a drunk driving car crash that killed all his friends, and Jason was the sole survivor of a boat overturning in icy water. They realize the designer knows everything about them. Zoe realizes they were chosen because they are all the sole survivors, and whoever designed the escape rooms wanted to know which of them would ultimately survive. Since Zoe believes trying to survive is useless, she stops playing their games and begins to destroy all the cameras in the room. A TV turns on and starts a 5-minute countdown. The video shows open heart surgery and says they need to put their hearts into it. Jason finds the EKG machine and notices canisters of poison that will be released into the room once the countdown is up. Jason thinks they need to use the EKG machine to measure a very high heart rate. Ben's heart rate isn't high enough, so Jason attaches the machine to Mike. On the other hand, Ben tries to get Zoe to calm down and work with them. But she doesn't listen. Jason shocks Mike twice with the paddles until his heart rate is over 200. Mike flatlines, and Ben performs CPR to try to revive him, but it's too late as Mike is dead. Jason realizes the EKG also needs to measure a low heart rate before the door will open. Jason attaches the machine to himself and calms himself until his heart rate drops below 50 and the door opens. The countdown ends, and poisonous gas starts to fill the room. Ben begs Zoe to follow him and Jason out of the room, but she refuses because she is still breaking cameras and is convinced that is the solution. Jason and Ben leave, and Zoe smashes the last camera. Zoe collapses on the floor and starts foaming at the mouth. Jason and Ben enter the fifth room where it's completely covered in a black and white checkered pattern. Ben is furious at Jason, who kills Mike only to save himself. Much to Ben's desperate, it's revealed Jason had killed his friend to not share with him the jacket and that's how he had survived. Ben angrily walks away and finds a hatch in the floor. It's too heavy to open alone, and they have to work together to open it. They get the hatch open, and an unknown substance emerges on their hands from the handle. They start hallucinating and see a message under the hatch that tells them the antidote is in the room. Ben finds the antidote, but there is only one dose. Jason attacks him to get the antidote, and they fight as the floor rotates until Ben kicks Jason's head into a table corner and he dies. Ben uses the antidote on himself, drops down into the hatch, and kicks through a grate in the floor. This brings us to the room at the beginning of the movie. Ben is close to being crushed between the walls until he manages to squeeze sideways into the fireplace. The walls smash together, and the mantle of the fireplace breaks open the door for Ben to exit the room. Ben enters a large room filled with computers and a screen showing the 6 contestants, each with their faces crossed out except for his. The game master greets him and explains that the game was designed to entertain a select group of rich and powerful people. Past games have included college athletes and savants, and the people in charge wanted to test the sole survivors. 2 workers in hazmat suits enter the hospital escape room, where they are ordered to clear out Mike and Zoe's bodies. They notice a breathing tube hanging from the ceiling. Zoe, who used the breathing tube to survive after destroying the cameras, attacks them from behind with an 4 stand, knocks them out, steals a gun, and exits the room. Ben asks the game master if he can leave since he won the game, and the game master says yes, then starts to strangle him with a wire. Ben pulls the stick out of his wounded leg and stabs the game master, who drops the wire. The game master climbs on top of Ben to finish choking him, but looks up and notices a computer saying system override while the screen showing the 6 original contestants changes to list the game master, Ben, and Zoe as being in play. Zoe shoots the game master but doesn't kill him as he runs behind some crates. While Zoe is distracted trying to wake Ben up, the game master attacks her and manages to get control of the gun. Before he can shoot her, Ben smashes him in the head with a glass container, shoots, and kills him. The screen changes to show the game master's face crossed out and Zoe and Ben listed as winners. Zoe and Ben exit the building and go to the hospital for Ben's injuries. The police pick up Zoe from the hospital to go to the Minus building. When the police enter the building, it appears to be abandoned and falling apart. They tell Zoe they haven't found any evidence of anything she claims went on in the building. Zoe tells them to ask Ben to corroborate her story, but they tell her that Ben's blood work showed multiple drugs in his system. Zoe sees the words "No Way Out" spray painted on the wall and realizes that it is an anagram for Dr. Woodenyu, whose name appeared multiple times in different escape rooms. The cops don't believe her story and tell her they have to leave. 6 months later, Zoe and Ben, who are now romantically involved, meet at a cafe. Ben's life has improved, and he now works as a salesperson for vegan dog food, which makes Zoe happy. Zoe then shows Ben a binder containing information about Minus that she has been compiling. There are articles about Amanda, Mike, Jason, and Danny's deaths that conceal their true location and cause of death. Danny drowned in Lake Michigan, Jason died in a motorcycle accident, Amanda died after falling during a solo rock climb, and Zoe's not sure what excuse they used for Mike's death. Zoe has also discovered the coordinates of the Minus headquarters in New York City using the Minus logo, and Ben has agreed to join her when she flies there in 2 weeks to try to bring them down. The film cuts to a plane in trouble, one of its engines on fire. The flight attendants are desperately looking for clues to help them gain access to the cockpit. They get into the cockpit but are too late to get the plane to land before it crashes. The camera cuts away to reveal that the plane is suspended inside a warehouse, and the flight attendants and passengers are Minus employees practicing an escape room scenario. On a screen, a shadowy figure asks an employee what his or her chances of survival are. He's been told that it's only 4%. The figure informs the employee that he wishes for it to be more survivable because it is no fun for the participants who do not have a chance. He reveals that he is Ben and Zoe's flight itinerary and that the scenario must be completed in time for their flight. That's all from the video. Thanks for watching. And take care.